We appreciate and welcome our constant supporters, which include, but not limited to, Ainul Haq Saab is there, Saadat Hussain Saab, Nahid Sultana Saab, I believe they are joining sooner, Nadeem Wamik Saab, Khalid Azam Saab, Khwaja Saab, A.R. Rana Saab, Imtiaz Saab, and others. Unfortunately, I could not remember all the names, but I'm sorry. Please forgive me for that. Unfortunately, we could not celebrate this event last year because of the COVID. We have witnessed heartbreaking scenes of mass casualties. Many of have lost loved one or someone we know. We continue to worry about the possibilities and the aftermath. We also have witnessed a loss of many faculty members and administrative staff of our alma mater. On behalf of my team, I express deep condolences to all who have lost their loved ones. May the departed souls rest in peace. We have lost one of our very dedicated team member, Janab Islam Khan Sahab. Our deep condolences to the bereaved family, and may his soul rest in peace. Mr. Khan's wife and son, they agreed to join here. I believe they are here right now. And we thank you for joining us. Going back to the importance of today's event, these annual alumni meetings are unique. This is an anxiously awaited event for the elites, their families, friends, and well-wishers. It provides an opportunity for the community to come together and share nostalgic moments spent at the university. Sir Syed was not only able to build a university of high academic caliber, but also managed to install a character in the alumni that continues to hold the passion of the university. The alumni of Muslim University are the torch bearers of Sir Syed's thoughts and dreams. Today we find these torch bearers are working towards the social and educational community work around the world. This unique character is visible in the way elites engage, interact, and help each other and others. We have been helping organizations that provide educational, social, and health services to the underprivileged. The purpose is to empower the less privileged, helping them live a life of the dignity. So please enjoy the evening tonight. Thank you so much.
Let me just start by saying that it really warms my heart to see all of you back here, because I'm sure you missed this event and the Aligarh Association as much as we have missed you all. So once again, I'd like to welcome you all, and we hope that in the future, we do not have to miss this for any reason. Right at the beginning, we lost our very dear ex-Vice President, Brother Islamuddin Khan, at the very beginning of the pandemic. And because of the circumstances at the time, we were not even able to pay our tribute to him as we would have in a normal year. Our Vice President Shoaib Zahoori's father and my father-in-law, our Treasurer Bushra's mother, also passed away during this pandemic. She is actually in India right now, tending to some affairs. So please join me, as well as all the numerous lives that were lost the world over. ANI has for many years been supporting a number of selected charitable organizations within the US as well as back home in Aligarh and across India. Some of them include the Sir Syed National Schools, the Insan for Humanity Foundation, Al-Noor Charitable Society, the Manapat Foundation, and the Zakat Foundation of India. Even during the pandemic, and especially during Ramadan, we continued our fundraising efforts, and we collected donations for the organization. A fundraising initiative was also undertaken by ANI in partnership with the Brooklyn College, with whom we have a standing relationship, and we're always in the process of transferring the funds to the respective organizations. Alhamdulillah, we've had a good year despite the pandemic. Our generous donors have always come through. ANI has also initiated and implemented an early intervention program in Jawaharlal Medical College, JNMC in Aligarh. And right before the pandemic, 2 scholars were invited to participate in a training program that was held here in the US. And this included visits to the NICU, the special education programs that they participated in, learning early intervention practices in New York, using legal assessments for special needs, adaptive designs, which is an innovative concept, music therapy, and other resources. All expenses for their travel, boarding, and lodging were borne by the Alumni Associations of New York and Atlanta. The entire fee for the training was waived by Brooklyn College. Brooklyn College has been instrumental in mentoring these scholars on an ongoing basis. A memorandum was signed between AMU and Brooklyn College in 2007, and since then, our relationship with them continues, and we continue to work on various programs. The ANI team is always open to new ideas, and inviting our chief guest and guest of honor, and is one of the reasons, so we can showcase what our organization does, and so we can solicit their help in maybe supporting some of these causes, or even just sharing some ideas with us. So I would like to thank you all for your patronage and your continued support in carrying the legacy of our visionary founder, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, forward. We do greatly appreciate that. Myself and including our team, our alumni, proud alumni, but this organization runs by the support of its various patrons that are not alumni. And one such example today, which there is also an AMU Tarana, which is a song for the university. I don't know how many universities have their own special song, but there's a interesting piece of history behind it. And there is one particular line in it. In Urdu it says, "Jo abr yahan se uthega, wo sare jahan pe phailega." Basically, to capture the essence, the fame that's going to rise from here, or however you want to interpret it, the dewdrops, it'll spread across the world. And I think, especially in Senator Hashmi's case, that's a good example, because she herself is not an alumni, but her dad was an alumni, and he came here, and he obviously we're honored by the work that he's done in his lifetime, which you'll hear more from Senator Hashmi. But even the offsprings of alumni, we just want to show that they are always part of our organization, and welcome at Aligarh Alumni Association. At this time, I would like to introduce our guest of honor, Mr. Javid Usmani. Mr. Usmani is a distinguished alumnus of the Aligarh Muslim University. He studied in Aligarh from 1971 to 73 for the degree of Bachelor's of Science, and his academic qualifications apart from Aligarh include a degree of MBA from the Indian Institute of Management from Ahmedabad, and also a Master's of Science from the London School of Economics. Mr. Usmani stood third in the UP State, Uttar Pradesh State, at the high school examination. He secured the first rank in AMU, BSc. These are just some of his academic accomplishments. And he was awarded a scholarship at IIM. He decided to give up his lucrative career in the private sector to appear at the Indian Administrative Services examination in 1977. He broke all past records at this most competitive examination and secured the first rank in India and joined the IAS as the All India topper of his batch. During his 37-year-long brilliant career in the Indian Administrative Services, Mr. Usmani has held a number of important positions. He has served various chief chief ministers of different states within India. He's also had the unique distinction of serving as the Joint Secretary to the Prime Minister of India for more than 8 years. And he's worked with not just one Prime Minister of India, but 4. Mr. H.D. Deve Gowda, Mr. I.K. Gujral, Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and Dr. Manmohan Singh. Mr. Javid Usmani was appointed as the Chief Secretary of the Government of UP in March 2012 and served in this post for more than 2 years. During this period, he was responsible for coordinating and controlling all government departments, monitoring all schemes and programs implemented by the Government of UP, and advising Mr. Akhilesh Yadav, the Chief Minister, on all policy issues. After retirement from the IAS, Mr. Javid Usmani was appointed in February 2015 as the Chief Information Commissioner of Uttar Pradesh and responsible for the implementation of the Right to Information Act in the state. Mr. Usmani now resides in New York. He's busy reading and writing and spending quality time with his family. We are privileged to have Mr. Javid Usmani with us today as the guest of honor. He is an inspiration for the next generation, particularly young men and women from the Muslim community in India. And we would like to welcome him, and I would like to invite him up here to say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. My felicitations to all of you on the occasion of Sir Syed Day. This is serious business, so I decided to bring a written speech and would request you to bear with me. Senator Kazala Hashmi, chief guest of today's event, Mr. Kausar Usmani, President of Aligarh Alumni Association of New York, Vice President, Secretary and Treasurer of the Association, fellow alumni of Aligarh Muslim University, esteemed guests and friends. I am grateful to the Aligarh Alumni Association of New York for having invited me to this function, giving me an occasion to meet all of you, fellow alumni of a great educational institution, the Aligarh Muslim University. Celebratory events such as Sir Syed Day allow us to contemplate upon the vision and mission of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. Winston Churchill once said, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." When one gives, one develops a greater sense of belonging. I hope many AMU alumni will step forward to give their best to the university, to experience this special feeling of giving and belonging. I am certain we will all strive to do our alma mater proud and thus pay a genuine tribute to the memory of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, the great founder of the Aligarh Muslim University. Thank you.
I would like to acknowledge the presence of New York Senator John Liu, who is in the audience today. Please join me in welcoming Senator Liu, and I would request Zayan Zahoori to please present Senator Liu with a bouquet as a token of our appreciation for joining us tonight. So after that wonderful speech from Mr. Usmani, it's my pleasure now to introduce our chief guest for today, Senator Kazala Hashmi. It is an honor to have her here today. She is the first Muslim woman elected to the body in Virginia State. She was an educator and an academician for over 25 years. She was a professor of English and is the founding director of the Center of Excellence in Teaching and Learning at Reynolds Community College. It's humbling to know that she has been working tirelessly for the underprivileged. As an administrator, Senator Hashmi has been working towards diversity, inclusion, and creating a multicultural environment. Her approach to public service is guided by the principles of integrity, social justice, and ethics in the government. In her own words, as said by Dr. Kazala Hashmi, and I quote, "I realized I had a choice. I could remain unheard, unseen, and unrepresented, or I could speak out, be visible, and dare to claim for myself and other marginalized communities the right to full participation in our democracy." I leave you with these inspiring words, and I'm sure you'll get to hear more of this story and more of these inspiring words from Senator Hashmi. Please welcome her with a big round of applause.
Good evening and Assalamu alaikum. I want to thank, first of all, the Executive Committee for the Aligarh Alumni Association of New York for extending this invitation to join you this evening. I'm just so honored and so humbled to be here. Thank you. And I especially want to thank my good friend, State Senator John Liu, for being here as well. We had the opportunity to meet a few weeks ago at Salt Lake City. And we realized we are comrade in arms in this fight for equity and justice for everybody. It's such an honor to be here, especially for me, because my father, as has been mentioned before, was a proud alum of Aligarh. In the 1950s, this institution played such a significant role in his life. He was actually the president of the student union. It formed his ideas and concepts for what is necessary and good in the world, and it certainly served as a guiding light for him throughout his entire life. One of the first memories that I have is my father teaching my brother, my sister, and I the Tarana. And I'm not going to sing it for you, but I remember the first few lines of it. Ye mera chaman, ye mera chaman ka bulbul, right? I tried to remember it again, but it is just a lovely, lovely Tarana, and he always made us sing it when we were very little. I think you'll hear tonight from my comments some echoes of what we've already heard from our honored guest here, Mr. Usmani. There's a continuity of thought, because I think in thinking about the Alumni Association and thinking about Aligarh University, there is a continuity of what we want to consider about its purpose, its promise, and all that it has offered to the world. And so I wanted to spend some time today thinking about the word legacy. Legacy, I think, is central to what we want to achieve when we think about Aligarh University. And legacy is often thought as a gift or an item of value that is bequeathed to the next generation or to an institution or to a community. But a legacy can hold monetary value, or it can be the creation of a culture that provides shape or definition to its core values and principles. But I've also been very fascinated by etymology, which is the study of the roots of words. And so when I think of legacy, I think of the word in its etymological sense. The Latin root of the word legacy is legacy, and a legacy is someone who has served as an ambassador, someone who carries important documents or gifts, delivering them from one site to another. A legacy is someone who makes a journey so that something of value may be shared by one community with another. So I like to think of legacy in this context because we are all then directly engaged in the process of building a legacy, because we are all individually or collectively developing ideas and items of value. They may be ideas, they may be artifacts, tangible or intangible, but we are all envoys and ambassadors, some of us moving across continents from city to city, carrying with us our own parcels of legacy. We are all certainly moving through time, nurturing those items of value so that we may bequeath gifts to those who come after us. I think this word has been especially in my mind for the last several months now because of my father. As I shared with you, my father departed this world just a few months ago. As painful as his loss has been for those of us who loved him deeply, including my mother, my brother, my sister, his grandchildren, and his many nieces and nephews, his transition was peaceful, without pain, and in some ways quite sweet. He was talking with my mother for one moment, and then he was silent. And though he may be no longer with us, he is still here. He's especially here tonight because of his legacy, because of what he nurtured, what he created of value, and what he shared as an ambassador of ideas, as a man who lived by principle and by two ideals of behavior in particular. And those are the words, tameez and ikhlas. He remains with us because as a father and as a lifelong educator, he asked only that we engage fully with the world and that we give ourselves to the pursuit of truth and justice. And so it is very fitting that my father was himself an alum of Aligarh Muslim University, a university that has left a most profound legacy in the hearts and minds of its students, past and present. AMU is itself a legacy bequeathed to the world by its founder, Sir Syed Ahmed Khan. A prolific author, jurist, and thinker, Sir Syed worked hard to align his faith with science and philosophy and with the social and cultural ideas of his time. His greatest legacy was, of course, in the field of education. He established schools, laid the foundation for the scientific society, and he fought to protect Urdu itself. He knew that he must launch a great educational institution, a Muslim Cambridge that would resonate with the legacy of Islamic thought and its multifaceted contribution to art, poetry, culture, science, and scholarship. So tonight, I want to connect some of those dots of this important and resilient legacy. Sir Syed knew that the Muslim identity, presence, contributions in India needed protection, visibility, and acknowledgement. My father carried those ideas of a progressive and engaged Muslim identity as he traveled from India to Pakistan and then to America. He shared these ideals, this vital legacy, with thousands of students whom he taught over 30 years at Georgia Southern University as a professor of political science and international studies, and he certainly passed these core ideas, this legacy, to his 3 children. I was deeply honored in November 2019 to be elected as a Virginia State Senator. I'm the first woman to represent my district. I'm certainly the first-generation immigrant. I'm the first South Asian, the first Muslim in the Virginia Senate. But for me, it's not important that I'm the first. What is important is that I am present in the Virginia General Assembly, which is, as we like to say in Virginia, the oldest continuous law-making body in the New World. My presence in the Assembly matters because now I have the responsibility to be the voice of so many communities who are often overlooked or ignored. Just as Sir Syed impressed upon the world in his time that the presence of Muslims in India was essential to the fabric of that subcontinent, it's incumbent upon all of us to demonstrate that the presence of this rich tapestry of immigrants, languages, and faith traditions is absolutely essential to the fabric of this country, this new world that we still are working so hard to create. The decision to run for office was not an easy one. For 30 years, I had immersed myself in the life of college campuses. It was a landscape that I knew very intimately. Like Sir Syed and like my father, education and the life of a university were central to my identity. But in 2017, the ground beneath our feet shifted. And I knew that silence and invisibility in the face of the rhetoric, the division that was swirling all around us, were no longer options. For 30 years, I've been teaching the poetry of Walt Whitman, the father of American poetry, who wrote about that rich and complex and melodious song of America. I hear America singing, Whitman wrote, as he described the sounds of a busy New York City street and the cadence of the diverse voices that play a part in this unique American song. I hear America singing, Whitman said, and in the 1920s, a young black poet dared to claim that song for himself. As a black man in the midst of the Harlem Renaissance, Langston Hughes said, "I too sing America." Throughout my campaign for office, I asked audiences in front of me to lay claim to the song of this nation and to say that we too sing America. This brave new world is the legacy that we have inherited from the multitudes who have built this nation through struggle and effort, and with courage and compassion. This nation is the embodiment of all those many millions of people, those millions of legacies, those ambassadors who have streamed to its shores, carrying gifts of precious worth, adding to the value of thought, character, poetry, and purpose to our collective American identity. So it's my incredible honor to be here this evening, and I am here honored with utter humility, knowing that it's my father's vision and my father's resolve, my father's dream. Indeed, it's my father's legacy that I carry forth. Thank you so much.